leader of Holy Blossom Temple to deliver the invocation.
O thou, God, Father of all mankind, in whose eyes all people of every race and creed are alike thy children, we ask thee to bless this place and the generations of youth, Canadian youth, who will rejoice and be glad in it throughout the generations to come. We thank thee for the privilege of living in a land of freedom, for the opportunity to dwell, to live, and to labor together with our friends of other faiths for a common faith, faith in democracy, faith in the future of our vast and vigorous nation. We thank thee for the far-seeing vision which binds grandfather and father and son and all generations in the sweet bonds of service to thee and to mankind, for the dedication and consecration to ideals which have been the backbone and foundation of this place, which the Jewish community of this great city is about to sanctify. May the increasing fellowship and unity of this growing city be increased from year to year, so that what we are about to raise unto the heavens here on this place will be not only a playground, not only a place of culture and education and training of youth, but also a symbol and a sign of that which binds all of us together. Faith in thee, O God, faith in our nation, faith in our city. Adonai oz lamo yitain, Adonai yavarech esamo ba shalom. O God, give strength to thy people and bless thy children everywhere with well-being, and may the buildings soon to rise on this ground resound with the laughter and the joy of many generations of Canadian youth in a world at peace and in a strong and sovereign and secure nation. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have some distinguished ladies and gentlemen on the platform, and I would like to introduce them to you. Rabbi, in the first row, I'm reading from my right, Rabbi Feinberg, the Rabbi of Holy Blossom, Mr. Charles Draymond, Alec Fisher, the co-chairman of the YM and the YWHA Building Fund, Mr. Samuel Grantstein on my left, the president of the YM and YWHA, Honorable A. Kelso Roberts, the Attorney General of Ontario, and H. Max Swartz, QC, Chairman of Board of Directors of the YM and YWHA. The second row, from left to right, Mr. Norman Goodhead, the Reeve-elect of North York. From right to left. I have to change this thing. Mr. Vernon Singer, the Reeve of North York Township. Mr. Fred Gardiner, the QC, Chairman of Metro Council. Am I hiding you, Mr. Gardiner? It'll be the first time. Next to Mr. Gardiner is His Worship Mayor Phillips, the social butterfly of Toronto. And next to Mayor Phillips is Senator David Crowell. The third row, Mr. Ben Sadowski. I think I can do without this. Mr. Ben Sadowski, Mr. Lou Poslins, Mr. Mark Levy, the President of the United Jewish Welfare Fund, Mr. John D. Feinberg, United Jewish Campaign Chairman for this coming year, Mrs. Sarah Godfrey, and Mr. David Andrews, the Executive Director of the YM and YWHA. The next row, Mr. Lou Borsuk, the former Chairman and President of the YMHA, who was instrumental in the building of the Bloor and Spadina building. Mr. Gordon Adamson, our architect for this building that is to be erected on this site. Dr. Al Lipson, the President of the Jewish Camp Council, who is to operate Camp Fundale on this site. Mr. Teddy Draymond, the Treasurer of the YM and YWHA. Mr. Blackstein, the Vice President of the YM and YWHA. And Mr. Sam Sable, Chairman of the Board of the United Jewish Welfare Fund. And Ms. Faggy Hutner, the Executive Director of United Jewish Welfare Fund. Ladies and gentlemen, your distinguished platform. My name is Shapiro. I happen to be the chairman of the building of the building itself, and I fell heir to this job naturally. Sounds like my mother and father. I was.
You went over big someplace.
It always takes a child to throw you. I would like to introduce at this time Mr. Sam Granatstein, the President of the YM and YWHA. Mr. Granatstein.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mr. Roberts, Honorable Senator Crowell, His Worship Mayor Phillips, and I'm not sure what the proper appellation is for our super mayor, Mr. Gardiner, and all other honored guests. Incidentally, I just understand that we are fortunate in having Mr. Stinson, who just walked in, who is a member of Parliament for the constituency in which this site is located. I want to welcome Mr. Stinson for being present. On behalf of the officers and the Board of Directors of the YMHA and YWHA, may I extend to you a warm welcome on this special occasion. And I want to underline warm. I'm afraid you're going to need it. The groundbreaking ceremony is both the culmination and a beginning, as it is the culmination of several years of work to determine the cultural and recreational needs for the community and the beginning of the job of meeting these needs. Through large-scale surveys, we have determined the need for recreational facility in the northern sector of the community. 804 families, representing over 3,500 separate individuals, responded to one study and indicated their requirements. This survey aided the building committee in determining the type of indoor and outdoor facilities to be planned. In choosing this site, we availed ourselves of the Toronto Welfare Council's survey on population trends and found most valuable the enrollment statistics given to us by the school authorities of North York, for which we are very, very thankful. These statistics convinced us that this site was in the midst of a fast-growing area, and it would be ideally located for the great bulk of the Jewish population living in the northern area. Our plans are just about complete, and all I would like to say about these is that we are planning to accommodate a membership of 10,000. Too much thanks cannot be given to Mr. E.I. Shapiro, the chairman of our building committee, and the members of his committee for the wonderful job they have done in developing the building plans. We are indeed fortunate to have a brilliant team of architects who have seen the challenge of this type of building, this building site, and have planned their joint creativity to evolve a wonderful plan. I want to thank Mr. Gordon Adamson and his associate, Mr. Harry Cole, for their contribution to this project. The Board of Directors of the Y is fully convinced that this site is unparalleled and that we are extremely fortunate to have it. Not only does it give full scope for all our plans for outdoor activities, and I might say in passing that Greater Toronto unfortunately has too few of these facilities, we are also able to provide for permanent day camp activities on the undeveloped portion of our land. I am happy to advise that the Jewish Camp Council, whose president, Dr. Alec Fisher, is with us on this platform, has joined with us in the purchase of this land and will operate their day camp on this site. The merging of the resources of two community organizations will not only procure better service, but also will serve the Jewish community, will also save the Jewish community a considerable amount of money. The chairman of our campaign, Mr. Alec Fisher, and to whom must go all our thanks, will be speaking about that most important operation, but I would like to make mention of the contribution of the United Jewish Appeal and the United Jewish Welfare Fund to this project. Through our arrangements with their organization, our own fundraising is limited to just the few hundred included in the top gifts bracket of the United Jewish Appeal. The United Jewish Welfare Fund and UJA have committed themselves to provide a sum of $625,000 for the building, payable over a period of years. A sum of $77,000 is being given to us from this year's UJA campaign, and there will be an allocation made every year. I want to appeal to everybody who is not being approached for a contribution by the Y's own campaign to make sure that they increase their yearly giving to UJA so as to include an amount for the Y. The UJA must have these added contributions to meet this yearly commitment. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I want to thank Mr. Stephen Berger, past president, and newly elected president, Mr. Mark Levy, for their deep understanding of the recreational needs of the community. Our cooperation is also pledged to Mr. John Feinberg, chairman of the 1959 UJA campaign. We also want to thank the Community Chest and United Appeal, of which the YMHA is a member agency. They have approved of this project and will be assisting us in helping to finance the operational needs of our program. I think that on this occasion I should mention the name of a man who did so much for the Y and other requirements of the community. I am speaking of the late Mr. Samuel Godfrey, whose devotion and contribution made possible the building at Bloor and Spadina, of which this is a natural growth. Mrs. Godfrey, who is with us on this platform, maintains the keen interest of her late husband. It is proper and fitting that the turning of the first sod take place on the first day of Hanukkah, the Jewish season of rededication. And on the note of dedicating ourselves to the future of this building, I would like to close. Thank you very much.
I would like to call on and Mr. Max Swartz, QC, Chairman of the Board of Directors, who will introduce our guest of honor. Mr. Swartz.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasant duty to present to you our guest speaker, the Honorable A. Kelsa Roberts, QC, the Attorney General for the Province of Ontario. Because of the lengthy program, time does not permit me to do adequate justice to the accomplishments or the personality of Mr. Roberts. Mr. Roberts, since assuming the office of Attorney General in 1955, has increased the prestige and high regard with which that department has been held by the people of this province and throughout Canada. Mr. Roberts' concern was not only that the laws were effectively and efficiently enforced, but also justly and with humane understanding. The rights of the citizens and civil liberties were always safeguarded by him. It is appropriate that Mr. Roberts should join with us in the celebration of the turning of the sod for our new building. The work of the YM and YWHA, as with the YMCA and other kindred organizations, endeavors to develop through the program a fuller life, responsibility, and respect for law and order, and to become good Canadians and good Jews. The records of our court show that seldom has a person who has participated in a program such as ours run afoul of the law. In this way, we help to reduce the problem of the Department of the Attorney General. Mr. Roberts has always been keen, has always been close to the people, and truly exemplifies the precepts as defined by the prophet Micah of a righteous man. He who loves justice, he who does justice, loves mercy, and walks humbly before God. It is with great pleasure that I present to you the Honorable Attorney General, Mr. Kelsa Roberts.
Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Godfrey, distinguished guests on the platform here, and I assume that most of them are also hard workers in this cause, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the invitation which you extended to me, Mr. Blankenstein, when our Premier, the Honorable Leslie Frost, was unable himself to be here today, and I first of all bring to you his personal greetings and the regards of the province of Ontario in this very fine undertaking. When I was getting ready to come here today, I thought it might be wise for me to check, and as Elliot Pepper is one of our young and coming counsel in the Department of the Attorney General, I got in touch with him. He assured me that there would be no buildings here and that we would probably be on a very exposed section of the high ground for this ceremony. So I got together my heaviest gloves, wool gloves, the biggest pair of boots, lined boots that I could get in the house, and I even put in my pocket, as I will show you, my earmuffs, just in case I needed all of these things for the occasion. But if he did nothing else, he made it, on your behalf, quite clear to me that a very few well-chosen remarks would probably be much more appreciated on this grand winter day here, a typical Canadian winter day, than any prolonged remarks. Well, I find myself housed here very comfortably, I must say, at this particular spot, and I'm sure that some of the ladies at the back there who are close to the other end of the room are comfortable, but in between there may still be temperatures that are not entirely satisfactory, and I just propose to say a few words to you. This is perhaps one of the most outstanding forward-looking moves that any organization in the nature of a Y has undertaken. the great movement, which we now typify by the one letter of the alphabet, the Y, had its roots well over 100 years ago when it was started in England, and first as a young men's organization in 1844, and similar organizations in Scotland, and then 11 years later when a young women's organization sprang up, and from those beginnings there has now become a worldwide movement of a similar nature. The common and distinctive feature of these organizations is that they all have social and religious influence as their primary objective. And I am very glad indeed to be here to see this, the latest development, starting along those very lines. When I, as a young innocent from Belleville, a small town it was then, a little bigger now, down about 100 miles from here in the east, had my first opportunity to come to the great, and what to some of us young fellows with that country atmosphere, you know, appeared to be perhaps a bit wicked or certainly uncertain and exciting city. I came with a small group, and we were billeted on College Street in the Y, which is still there. And from that spot, I made my first sortie out onto Young Street and to see and hear and learn all about the life of this great city. Well, that is a long time back now, and I know that the influence of the Y has increased tremendously, and I know that you have down at 750 Spadina Avenue a very modern, in the center of the city, building, and I know that in a matter of a short time you will have here a very distinctive building, and you will have around it facilities for sport and recreation that will, I am sure, do all that Mr. Schwartz has said to help the younger generation to get the best out of athletics and sport and get the least possible out of police court and jails. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further remarks, I just wish to join with all others here in paying tribute to this movement and wishing it the greatest of success in the future, and hoping that the sod that will be turned here today shortly by one of your distinguished workers will be the beginning of a truly great and lasting undertaking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roberts. We appreciate your remarks and are very happy that you were able to come today. I would now like to call on Mr. Gardiner, the mayor of Metro. Mr. Gardiner.
Do anything you say, Robert.
Mr. Chairman, Rabbi Feinberg, the Attorney General of the Province of Ontario, the present Reeve of the Township of North York, and the Reeve-elect of the Township of North York, and I'm doing the best I can to follow the protocol, seeing that I'm out in the country where I belong. And His Worship Nate, the mayor of all of the people who comes when you're in North York from a slightly foreign part of this metropolitan area, and all of the other distinguished guests. May I say that I'm pleased to be here today and to associate myself with the sentiments which have already been expressed by Rabbi Feinberg in his prayer of invocation, and by the Attorney General in the observations which he has made, and to say that I shall also take the risk of saying in advance that I will associate myself with the observations which will later be made by the Mayor of Toronto. Regardless of what they are. Now, as the Attorney General has already indicated, he didn't come here to make a speech today, neither did I. I don't know whether it's going to wind up in an oratorical competition or not, but I won't make any contribution to it myself, other than to say that on behalf of my colleagues in the Metropolitan Council, who represent 13 municipalities in metropolitan Toronto and now about 1.5 million people, I bring to you today on their behalf their congratulations for the great courage which you've already displayed in undertaking this remarkable project, which will make such a contribution to the young people of our city. I think I have been connected with this enterprise on 2 previous occasions, one of which was down at the corner of Spadina and Bloor, incidentally not Spadina College. And the other, if I recall it correctly, was in the Westbury Hotel. And Mr. Ben Sadowski, perhaps remember you being there. And perhaps I would take the risk of saying today that there is a man out in California who I have no instructions from to bring his regards to you today. But he and I would say to you that we hope for the best for you. And on behalf of Metropolitan Toronto, not only congratulate you, but to wish you the most complete success in this remarkable undertaking and in all of the other undertakings in which you engage yourself. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gardiner. Mr. Gardiner is a real friend of the Y, and in case that some of you ladies and gentlemen don't know it, I would like to tell you that he's a contributor for the new building fund, and we're very happy to have him, of course. I would now like to present Mr. Singer, the Reeve of North York, in which this building is located. Mr. Singer.
Mr. Chairman, and I think I'll solve all the questions of protocol by just saying distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It isn't too often that Mr. Phillips, Mr. Gardiner, and myself get into this protocol business. It's usually saved for Mr. Gardiner and Mr. Phillips to have their little battle down in the built-up part of Metro, down in the city of Toronto. Up here in the wilds of North York, it's quite clearly recognized that the Reeve is the senior citizen, and there's no doubt about it. I'm very pleased to be able to take part in the sod turning of this very advanced project. Over the past year or so, I've had the privilege and the opportunity to be a part of some of the planning that has gone on in connection with the location of this site and some of the zoning and planning problems that have been encountered. We in North York, the fastest growing municipality in Canada, probably the fastest growing municipality in North America, welcome as a sign of progress the Y to North York. This is a place where there's a forward-thinking council which will do everything in its power, I know, to expedite the mechanical work that concerns the municipality. On behalf of my council, we welcome the Y to North York. My successor, Norm Goodhead, is here, and I know that his council will do everything they can to cooperate with the architects, the builders, and the planners to make sure that the building of the Y is indeed a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Singer, and I'm sorry that I have missed up on protocol. It was pointed out to me a few moments ago, before Mr. Singer got up, as a matter of fact, by His Worship the Mayor Phillips, that Mr. Singer is the senior citizen here. And I would like you to note, Mr. Roberts, in case anything happens to me tomorrow, will you please speak to Mr. Singer? Now I'd like to call on His Worship, Mayor Phillips, to present the Drayman family the spades with which to break ground. Mr. Phillips is personally acquainted with the Drayman family for many years, and we feel that he's an appropriate individual to convey this honor to the Drayman family. Mayor Phillips.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Reeve, you see I understand protocol. Mr. Reeve-elect, Mr. Attorney General, Senator Kroll, Mr. Gardiner, ladies and gentlemen. It's rather humorous the way I was introduced in the first place as the social butterfly. My enemies, prior to the 1st of December, in a political sense, applied that designation to me, but apparently no matter how they throw me, I end up as mayor of all the people. And that's, of course, the way it should be, from my point of view. And I'm not least abashed by what they call Mr. Gardiner outside of the corporate limits of the city of Toronto. They can give him such ideas of grandeur as he should like to have or like to confer. But I've always made it quite clear that they should know that once they get within the corporate boundaries of that great corporation known as the City of Toronto, a contributing suburb of North York, that they should know what the score is. However, now that I'm in a foreign land, the very great honor for me as mayor of Toronto and on behalf of that municipality to associate myself with this very important event, one which has been conceived under the inspiration of the highest motives, and namely the turning of the sod for this great new YMHA. Of course, I'm here in a dual capacity. I'm not only the mayor of Toronto, but I have an interest because this happens to be the community in the narrow religious sense to which I belong. And it's a great pleasure, too, for me to have this opportunity of presenting the spades, or shovels, which will start this building in motion to not only old friends, very old friends of mine, but those who are related to me by ties of marriage, because my daughter married one of the Brodies, and the Brodies married into the Drayman family, and so there has been a chain reaction here, and it's a very great deal of pleasure for me as mayor and very close relatives. I can't tell you how close they are. And there's more truth than poetry in that too. And I associate myself with this very happy occasion, and wishing the institution the success that I'm sure it will be, and also thanking the community for giving this wonderful new project to Metropolitan Toronto. I now take very great pleasure in presenting the spades to Mr. Charles Drayman and to, who are your descendants, Charlie?
Son Ted.
Son Ted. How? Ted.
Grandson Timmy.
And grandson Timmy. That's very nice. Why, aren't these gold-plated? Charlie will give you the one that's gold-plated. And here, we've got a small one for you. And you take these home after and put them in your mother's china closet.
Wait, let's do it. Come on, this way. Very good. Where we're going to take?
Alec, you use one.
There's gold there. Dig, Charlie.
Oil, not gold.
Oh,
oil,
oil,
oil.
How about the picture of the building? Can we get that? Gladys, shouldn't we have the picture in there? Picture?
You get the picture over?
The background? I thought they were going to have them up against the picture.
Well, we can't have it. They got the ground.
I see. There's no ground over there?
This is where they prepared it.
Now you were doing the work.
Well, I'm glad to see you doing the
You don't have
That's all. Get some dirt on yourself.
I think perhaps it seems to me the Draymond family are working very hard, and I think perhaps I should let them know that actually we aren't going to build with these spades. We're going to use a steam shovel.
Go ahead, Timmy. Look up at the camera. Lift the shovel. Lift it up with some dirt on it.
With dirt on it. That's it.
All right, now look up. That's it. Very good.
Quantity of this dirt?
Thank you very much, the Draymond family. At this moment, I'd like to welcome here Irving Paisley and Fred Young, who are members of the North York Council. And I also would like to welcome Professor Finkelman, the president of the Canadian Jewish Congress, who's in the audience, and Mrs. David Vise, the president of the Jewish and Family Child Service. It's the spade work that the Draymond family just did, of course, is important from a publicity angle. But the most important spade work that has to be done in connection with this project, of course, is the raising of funds. And to handle that most important business is Alec Fisher, and on him depends whether this new building goes up very quickly or slowly. Just depends now how he's going to handle the spade. Mr. Alec Fisher.
Mr. Chairman, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, I hope my spade work isn't going to be as tough as that experienced by the Draymonds, or else we'll be a long time building this building. I'm a little frustrated. The Honorable Kelso Roberts, our Attorney General, went to some detail in telling you of the clothes that he prepared for this occasion. We, the official committee here, were asked to wear striped trousers and the full regalia, and then we find ourselves behind a barricade and with overcoats on, and we can't even display our wares. I'd also like to make one comment before getting down to the subject matter of my speech.
and that is to say that there is at least one individual among us who was so anxious to get to this groundbreaking that he actually came 1 week early. I'm referring to D. Lou Harris, who was on this site last Sunday and has been holed up ever since waiting for this.
You thought out yet?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very festive occasion in a very festive season. With the Thanksgiving season just passed and being in the midst of Hanukkah, we can both celebrate a victory and also give thanks for this particular event. I must, however, add a very, very solemn note. This building is not yet fully pledged for, nor is it fully paid. I want to say a word of particular thanks to the founders of this organization, those people who have been good enough to contribute, pledge and contribute to date, and who have made it possible for us to break ground, get underway, and have available to this community our outdoor facilities in the 1959 year. I must, however, urge them to get their pledges in very quickly, because we're going to need the money to pay for all the expenses that we're going to incur in this next year. I also wanted to say to those of you who have not yet pledged and who have not yet been approached, open your hearts and your pocketbooks when my co-chairman, myself, and our committee come around to see you, because we're going to need an awful lot of money to carry to a fruition all of the glorious plans for this wonderful new Y. My co-chairman, Sam Granatstein, has indicated to you that we're going to build here beautiful facilities to accommodate some 10,000 people. Those 10,000 people will include yourselves and your families. But in order to do the job that we want done, we're going to have to raise an awful lot of money, and it's going to have to be paid for. There is a Jewish saying which I would like to paraphrase, and that is, a mitzvah, a good deed, is not a good deed unless it's carried through to its full culmination. I urge you, therefore, to support us fully in this undertaking by a warm-hearted response when you are approached, as you undoubtedly will be in the next few months. And I urge you also, as has my co-chairman, to support your United Jewish Appeal to its fullest, because they are our partners to some extent in this particular venture. I will close now by thanking all of you who have aided in this great work, and I'll thank in advance those of you who are going to come along with us. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have no fear when the spades are in the hands of such gentlemen as Mr. Fisher and Mr. Granatstein that our building will commence this coming spring, our outdoor facilities will commence and be completed this coming year in 1959, and that within a year we'll have the building also completed, and we'll have a very, very fine YMHA building in this community. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very, very sincerely from the bottom of my heart for coming here on such a cold day, and I hope that you will stay and have coffee with us. Thank you very much. This meeting is now closed.
Very good.